You're listening to One Lowry, Many Stories, a special podcast series celebrating Lowry Turns 25, in partnership with the University of Salford and commissioned by the National Lottery Heritage Fund.
The street that I grew up on literally bordered onto the docks. The end of our street, Hunt Street, there's a point in the late 70s where one day that final whistle of the final boat coming into the docks sounded, and at that moment the docks closed forever. Every single house on our street had people who worked in the docks, so you can imagine what would happen. The docks closed. It was absolutely profound on the community that I lived and grew up in. After that, all of those communities were basically rehomed, rehoused. So the streets were knocked down. We were all posted out to different places. And that sense of community was absolutely demolished.
Decades after the docks closed, Salford found a new kind of gathering place. A place where what had been lost could be rebuilt, in ways nobody quite expected. For 25 years, the Lowry has been a part of life in Salford, not just as a building, but as a place where people come together, where they can be themselves, and where the city's communities find a space to connect. A teenager discovering a passion for dance, a retiree trying something new, or a young mum seeking change in her city. Moments that add up, over time, to build something that really matters. In this episode, we hear from the people who've experienced it, and how Lowry's work with its community has made it more than just an arts venue. It's become a space that listens, responds, and grows alongside the people it was built for. I'm Mia Thornton, and I'll be your host for this episode, Lowry and Community.
I think that part of what is really important to us as an organisation is the way in which we can give those opportunities for people in our city to see the arts or creative industries as being for them. The way in which we approach our work and our organisation's commitment to communities in Salford is by absolutely prioritising our work with those communities. It's not about parachuting in and parachuting out of those communities. If we take something like our work with young carers, it's 15 years of work in that space. It's not a one-year project that we fly in and we fly out again, and we then have no context or no legacy or no relationship with those communities beyond the life of that 12-month project. That's not what we're interested in, and it's not what we're here to do.
Sometimes the biggest barrier is the question, is this place for me? At the Lowry, answering that starts with people like Sarah, by listening to communities, understanding their stories, and making sure those doors really do feel open.
My name's Sarah Whitehead, and I'm the community collaborator here at the Lowry. I also run my own social enterprise called Community Pride, which is about working with local people and communities to help them to identify the issues that are impacting their lives, and then to work together to take a collective action that creates change. And I've been doing that now for 10 years in Salford. I grew up in Salford. My parents had addiction issues. I spent some time in care, and I kind of just dropped out of school and went into working. My mum passed away, and I had just had a baby, split up from the partner. So just loads of things. Like, I think I can relate with a lot of people, and people can relate with me, and actually think, well, if you can do it, then so can I. And I think that helps them come and be part of things like this, what we do at the Lowry. We do a lot of work with people where they're at in the community, but often they see spaces like the Lowry as closed doors, as places that are really not for them. And being able to actually open those doors and break those myths down really about who theatre and the arts and who this space is for is massive.
My name's Frank Deutsch, and I've been working at the Lowry for almost the whole of the 25 years. I started just after it was opened. I came here as a patron first off to see the first ever professional performance at the Lowry, which was the Paris Opera Ballet. So the Paris Opera Ballet was absolutely fabulous, and in the programme they were looking for volunteers to come and take tickets and show people to the seats and all that sort of thing. And I just retired. I loved going to the theatre. This might be something I could do, so I made inquiries and was interviewed and started work here. And I'm still going and loving every minute of it.
Some, like Frank, find their place immediately. Others take a few weeks or a few sessions before the Lowry feels like somewhere they belong.
I was going through the care system when I was about 12 years old, and my sister was introduced to Jenny, and I just used to tag along with everything that my sister wanted to do. When I first came to the Lowry, I think I walked in and I was like, probably don't belong here, I'm not going to enjoy drama, I'm not going to like it. And it's a theatre, right? It was super intimidating for me, this big building, and I'd never been anywhere. I didn't grow up going to theatres and watching shows. But then as soon as this session started, and you just get into the flow of it and you just get really excited and you're just having fun, I think that's when you realise, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. I didn't feel like I had to be a drama kid or be an aspiring actor to be there. And I think that was the important thing. But even just having little conversations with other people whilst you're in the session and understanding what they're going through as well. It felt like we were all really vulnerable in those sessions. And so it was the first time you could actually chat to people and be like, I'm not the only one that's going through this weird phase or stage. So yeah, I think that was really powerful. So I think at first I wasn't excited, but then once I got into it, I really loved it.
At Lowry, it's not just about the people who show up. It's also about the organisations they bring in to make their work even stronger. By partnering with local charities, theatre companies and arts organisations, Lowry makes sure every project is shaped with its community in mind. One of those organisations is Lung, a theatre company that specialises in telling real stories using the words of the people who live them.
Hi, my name is Matt. I'm the co-director of a theatre company called Lung. So I met someone called Lindsay O'Sullivan who worked in the Learning and Engagement department at the Lowry, and she said that they wanted to make a verbatim production in partnership with Salford Young Carers Service about the lived experience of young carers in Salford, and would we be interested on working with the Lowry on it. So bit Lindsay's hand off and was like, this sounds incredible, yes please. And we then worked together on Who Cares, and that ended up being a 6-7 year partnership, and the legacy of that project is still carrying on today.
Together with Lowry, Who Cares give young carers a chance to share their experiences in their own voices, and the results were transformative.
We then started making Who Cares, so that involved me over a period of 2 years coming to the Lowry, meeting a group of 4 incredible young carers, and they were also not only involved in the script and their words, but also casting the design, the songs that were in the show, their favourite tunes are in there. They were cohesively really involved in the curation of the whole piece. The show premiered at the Keys Theatre way back in 2016, and then there was this real itch after that to be well, the show's wicked, where can we take it next? So then our future with the Lowry has always kind of been intertwined with that project. It went on a tour around schools across the country, and it was used as a tool to identify hidden young carers. As a direct result of seeing the show, 200 plus young people who didn't know they were young carer, because why would you not, it's just your life, were oh my god, that's my life, that's my experience on stage. And then we were working closely with local young carer services to be able to say, well, the person who runs your local services at the back of the room, go and speak to them and they'll talk to you about how you can get a referral and get further support. So we started to really see on the ground the direct impact that art can have in changing people's lives.
The impact of Who Cares shows how powerful collaboration can be and how art can ignite real change. And at Lowry, that change can take many forms. Sometimes it's in the smaller, day-to-day interactions.
It's bringing in knowledge. That's a really key thing, knowledge and learning, being able to listen to what people are sharing with us about their access issues, what are the barriers for them in accessing the Lowry. So being able to work together to really co-create change at the Lowry is important, and that's happened. So there were some issues around security. We don't feel very welcome when we come in, and sometimes we feel a bit singled out, and because they're already feeling like they shouldn't be here, that's enough for them to think, right, I shouldn't be here and I should just go home. And so we had some chats with security. The security team came in and met the groups. The group shared how they were feeling. The team shared why sometimes they have to do things a certain way. And instantly, the mood changed and the vibe changed and they were friends. And when the groups came, they didn't feel like they weren't welcomed anymore. It's helping the Lowry to become a space that is owned and feels like it's owned by communities, where they feel like they can come in. They know everybody, they say hello, it feels like home is what they say to us, and they really enjoy being here and they feel safe here, and I think that's massive for the Lowry.
If you've ever walked into a space and felt unsure as to whether you belonged, you'll understand why these conversations matter. At Lowry, making people feel welcome isn't just a goal, it's part of how they work. They create programs that put the community at the heart of the creative process. One example is the Lowry Community Creators Group, which gives local residents the chance to make, explore, and connect through art. For Neil, being part of that group has been life-changing.
This is the third year I've become doing it, but I've only been an artist for the last 5 years. Before the lockdown, I quit my job, blah, 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 anyway, and then after the lockdown, I was feeling a bit lost and that, and my mental health wasn't that strong. So the job centre referred me to a place called Start in Salford, and they help people with mental health through art and crafts, and since that, I've never looked back. Them and a place called Loaves and Fishes, which is another charity what I got involved with, who had a connection to the Lowry. They basically changed my life around, saved my life and everything, and my life is just totally opposite to what it was, say, 5 or 6 years ago. I was never arty. I was rubbish at school, at art and stuff, and then ever since I went to Start and been to Loaves and Fishes, and then started coming here, I just appreciate art because I do it myself now as well, and I've had a couple of exhibitions. It's just the culture of it all, the feel of it all. It's just a totally different environment to the one I was used to before, because I was used to working in kitchens and stuff, and yeah, it's just totally changed my life coming here.
Once people feel they belong, Lowry becomes a place to try things and to grow. So much of this sense of place comes through the learning and engagement team. They run workshops and projects for children, young people, and families, giving people a chance to explore creativity, build confidence, and just try something new in a safe and welcoming space. And as Nazir Afzal, chair of Lowry, explains, this sense of belonging is by no means accidental.
In the Lowry's DNA is learning and engagement. In the Lowry's DNA is community impact. It's not about what we put on, it's about what everybody else there wants from us. And nothing happens here without testing it with the communities that we're part of. We want more and more people to feel that this is the place they can be welcome, and they are welcome. I understand that some people, get deterred by, big glass doors and is it somewhere do I need to go paying to get in? Not only do people see this place as a place where they belong, this is also a place that serves its communities.
What's great about the Lowry's commitment to continuing to work with young carers, we did Who Cares 10 years ago, and the Lowry continued to do that work with those young people. that learning and engagement department continue to do like really incredible work, it means that you can then like guarantee, because of the longevity of the building, that you can then have these sustained relationships, so it has like bigger impact. And particularly for us, like we're still a very small company, but being able to partner with a bigger organisation like the Lowry, when your values align, is like magic, because it means you're able to take it so much further than it just being like a project that is a flash in the pan and then it's done.
And when that commitment works as well as it does here, you start to see it in action. Like First Steps and the Centre for Advanced Training in Dance scheme, giving children and young people access to high-quality dance training and tuition.
I'm Claire Filed and I am a member of staff here at the Lowry. I work part-time for the Learning and Engagement team. I used to run a under 5's First Steps, which is a dance provision. First Steps started when Jane De Silva, who used to work here years ago in the Learning and Engagement team, saw me deliver a dance session in a nursery. And she said, I'd like that to happen at the Lowry. And I delivered this dance session for, I think I had 20 3-year-olds sort of doing movement with me, exploring dance and dynamics and all sorts of things through the medium of dance. And I think that's a beautiful thing that's unique to the Lowry, because it's a very playful its shape and all the flow and movement of the building lends itself to play, lends itself to exploration. And I think children immediately connect with that when they come into the building. So Lowry really helped that be a thing for the young people of the community. Some people have come back to Lowry having been at those First Step sessions and are now with the Lowry Centre for Advanced Training in Dance. And it's basically a provision or a training scheme where we give a strong foundation to young people in their teens that would like to go on to have a career in dance. And we provide really intensive training and nurturing training to develop young artists to go on to have a career in dance.
I was in year 10 when I started the CAT scheme, so I would have been 14, and that's when my formal training in classical ballet, contemporary dance and the creative techniques that they provide started then. My dance teacher there, Miss Hughes, then got information about workshops that the CAT scheme was hosting at the Lowry Theatre. I just fell in love with it. It was contemporary technique and choreographic creative session. They then said they were doing another session next week, so I was like, I want to do this again. Turns out that session was actually an audition for the scheme. I suppose you'd almost say it was a mistake because I didn't realise what I was doing, but like that typical teenager doesn't really know what's happening. I think that was more the case than them tricking people into an audition. They're not trying to be, this is an audition and like everything is just so chilled, and like they want to get to know you as a person and as an individual, not are you the best dancer possible? But then also for you as an individual, is the CAT scheme the right place for you?
I think when I started out as a dancer, I didn't particularly think, I'm going to be thinking about how other people are going to connect with dance and all that kind of thing. And that's been a huge part of my practice. And I think moving to Manchester and being part of a community and seeing how creativity is so integral to happiness in people's lives, I think that's really stuck with me from having been part of various projects across Manchester. And I think Lowry has allowed that to happen for me in many ways. Being able to be in this role now where I'm bringing young people, where I identify people with talent in dance and movement, creativity. We can identify those people, bring them to Lowry, allow them to sort of explore that side of themselves physically and creatively, become young artists, develop as an artist, and then if they want to, take that career pathway.
Being a student at the CAT scheme, we got to see so many different productions at the Lowry Theatre. So you got to see the future of your career before you really focused on your career. So without realising it, I got to see Matthew Bourne's New Adventures. I got to see them on stage, a company that I've worked with now since 2018 as a performer and a dance educator. I got to see Alvin Ailey. So to see black dancers on stage as someone who is mixed race with black heritage, I got to see myself on stage in a way that wasn't presented in the same way. Getting to see Central School of Ballet's graduate showcase and seeing, oh, I can go and train in classical ballet. You know, I got to see where my future could be without thinking about my future. But then that ties back into the amazing teaching team. All these teachers supported you from your contemporary technique, your ballet technique, how to be creative. You know, I went from doing 0 ballet in about a year and a half, give or take 2 years. All the teaching staff got me to a standard where I was on a scholarship to attend Elmhurst School for Ballet. From 0 ballet to being at the school associated with the Birmingham Royal Ballet. You know, that is not an easy feat, but the teachers made that happen. I had the inspiration of where my future could go as a professional dancer on stage, and then I had the teachers with the knowledge and genuine care to get me to that.
For Isaac, seeing himself reflected on stage opened up a future he hadn't imagined, an opportunity that without Lowry might never have happened. And at the heart of so many of these stories, Lowry reinforces that core belief: the arts are for everyone. By now, you've heard just how deep Lowry's impact runs. For 25 years, people have walked through these doors to watch, to learn, to belong. But it's the little things that really tell that story. The small, everyday moments that make a place really feel like home.
One of the first things I noticed was I was sitting in the cafe a year ago, and I was sitting down, and the young man brought me his coffee, and he told me that he'd come here as a baby. So his mum and dad had brought him as a baby in 2001, and here he was now working in this venue. So he didn't see this place as anything other than a family and a real community, somewhere where he felt he belonged. I think that's quite an important word. A real sense of belonging amongst the people who work here. There are people who've just joined 25 days ago, and they have the same passion and energy as the people who've been here 25 years. It's quite extraordinary. It's not something you lose, it's something that just comes with the place. Because they all want to keep making people happy, and they love the fact that people leave here happier. What a great place to be.
The Lowry really kick-started for me like a passion for social action, a passion for involving more young people in spaces like this and opportunities. I think most of the beauty of the sessions wasn't about like what we went on to do or the piece of art that we went on to create. It was much more about like just going through stuff together in a group and just having that space to breathe and to be. And I always say, I think it was so impactful for me because I was a kid growing up in the care system, or navigating that confusion around where you belong. I literally didn't know where I belonged, and I think the Lowry gave me that place on a Monday to be like, right, cool, I'm going to go there and I'm going to belong there for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, and that's enough, and I can just let it all out. And I think that was the incredible piece for me, and what really encouraged me to be like more young people who are going through turmoil in their life, not just young people in the care system, but young people who are going through turmoil in general, need to have a space like that. They need to experience that sense of belonging, that sense of community and togetherness.
And what Jayden found at the Lowry didn't end when the drama workshops did. He carried it with him into social activism, youth work, and creating spaces for others to belong, until eventually it brought him right back to where it all started.
Randomly, an email landed from a colleague of mine about Lowry searching for new trustees. At this point, I don't think I'd entertained the thought of being a trustee. I was like, I'm too young. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the expertise. But there was just something inside me. I was like, it's your way of getting back in touch with the Lowry and feeling that, like, having that bond again, and also seeing where they're at in terms of enabling more young people to feel what I felt. So yeah, I applied, and I was still, like, I think throughout the whole process, I was like, I think quietly confident, but at the same time, I was like, there's not a chance. We'll just do it for the experience and to let Lowry know I still really love them. And then, yeah, got the role as a trustee. I spent 2 years as a trustee now, and it's been genuinely incredible because you look at it from a completely different light and perspective. And it's so lovely to see, like, the work that's being done now is still as pure and as, like, authentic and as truly centred around young people as it was when I was there. And I think it was a really bold and brave move from the Lowry to take that kind of step of trust and get closer to young people by having me on the board.
We get so much from the community as well, as much as what we give and invest into it. There is a risk being in this area of Media City, and with all of the regeneration and the rapid growth, there are people who feel like they're being left behind. And Lowry is the one space where they don't feel like that anymore, and where it's helping to bring them along, not just in the arts and in this building, but for this area, which I think is really important, like, for the future of Salford.
It's not just the students or performers who make Lowry what it is. Its rich volunteer programme brings people in at every level, whether they're helping out at shows, guiding visitors, or supporting workshops. They play a crucial role in keeping the building alive and connected to its community.
One of the interesting things is if you look at the body of volunteers, there's a heck of a lot of experience there and different experiences. So, for example, I don't have grandchildren. I'm not around little kids, but talking to people who work in schools, they can talk a lot about what works with the little ones. There is so much experience amongst the volunteers, and it's often quite easy to say, oh, well, they're just volunteers, they just tell you where the toilets are, you know, but there's a lot more to us than that. I think one of the things about the Lowry is the amount of outreach work it does and the amount of opportunities that we as volunteers get to take part in that. When they've done productions out in the community, that's a totally different experience from working in the foyer in the theatre, to see all the different kinds of outreach work that goes on. I think it's just something to be proud of. It's a community feel, really. You just feel a loyalty to it because it is such I suppose, an important part of the life of Salford.
It's almost been a lifesaver for me because, as I say, I have a huge interest in theatre. I've always had a huge interest in theatre and gone to theatre a lot. But being able to be there and to greet people and to welcome them into the building, to do building tours with them and talk about the building to them and what goes on here, I thought it was a terrific thing for me in my retirement to be able to do. It was such a joyful thing and such an entertaining thing. Just as I retired, as this theatre, as this place was coming into being, was just a remarkable, it was so opportune, and it almost intended for me, really. Yeah, so I've been very lucky and very privileged to be able to be part of it.
When we talk about the Lowry, people talk about the incredible stuff that we do to transform the lives of individuals, of the community of Salford. And I think that's how I see the future of the Lowry, is that people recognise the incredible work that we do beyond the stages, beyond the theatre, beyond the tickets. And I think that's the direction that we've been travelling in, and it's becoming more and more prevalent as we continue to move in that direction, the importance of the learning and engagement work. And I think that's how I envision the Lowry.
You know, it's quite extraordinary. We're not sitting back on our laurels and thinking, well, we've done it all and we're doing more than anybody else. We want to do even more. You know, we want people in Greater Manchester, in Salford, to see this as somewhere where they belong, somewhere that they can enjoy, somewhere they can contribute, somewhere they can make a difference. 24/7, 365 days a year, this place reaches its communities. And we want to do more of that.
We've heard firsthand from the people who make Lowry what it is today. The staff, volunteers, students, they've shown just how important it is to have a space that's built around its people. And that feeling of community, it's felt throughout Lowry. It's in conversations in the cafe, friendly faces at the door, that feeling that you belong, even if it's just for an hour on a Monday night. And for some, it's the start of a journey that changes the way they see themselves and the way they give back. After 25 years, Lowry is still learning, still listening, and still making space for the people who shape it. And it will continue to do so for many more years to come. One Lowry, Many Stories was commissioned by the National Lottery Heritage Fund in partnership with the University of Salford. This is just one of 4 commissions for Lowry Turns 25. Please find the others at lowry.com. I'm Mia Thornton. Thanks for listening.
Where do good times go and what's to show? As you see 25 years blur into one. Where do memories live? What if I said what if? You could press rewind back in time to what is gone. When was the first time you stepped inside the building? What was your highlight, your most life-affirming feeling?